Hands on the hood, now." The command cracked through the night air as flashing red and blue lights bounced off the brick walls of downtown. Two men in plain clothes, strong, calm, and silent, stood frozen as the officer shoved them roughly against a patrol car. "Thought you were tough guys? Not in my city," the cop sneered, his body cam blinking. But these weren't ordinary men. They were Navy SEALs, warriors who had faced battlefields across the globe, now treated like criminals in the streets of their own homeland. Marcus, tall, broad-shouldered, clenched his jaw as the cuffs bit into his wrists. "We didn't do anything," he said, his voice low but steady. Beside him, Jake shifted uncomfortably, his rage boiling just under the surface. "We serve this country and you're humiliating us for what? For walking home?" The cop smirked, pushing Jake harder against the car. "Save your speeches. Out here, I write the story. You're nothing without that uniform." Pedestrians had stopped, phones raised, recording every second of the humiliation. The decorated veterans, men who had risked their lives in silence, were being mocked by someone sworn to protect the same nation. But Marcus whispered through gritted teeth, "Stay calm. They'll know soon enough who we really are." Hours later, the courtroom was packed. The arrogant officer stood tall, chest puffed out as if he already owned the verdict. "Your Honor," he said confidently, his voice dripping with false authority, "these two men resisted arrest. They threatened civilians. They're dangerous." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Jake shot forward in his chair, fire in his eyes. "That's a lie." The judge raised a hand for silence. Marcus leaned in, calm but razor sharp. "Check the footage. He cut the body cam the moment we asked why we were being stopped." The officer's smirk returned. "There is no footage," he declared smugly. "Just my word, and in this court, that's enough." For a moment, it seemed the system was tilted against them. The room was thick with tension. Then, bang! The heavy courtroom doors swung open with force. Every head turned as a towering figure entered. Admiral Parker, a decorated leader of the Navy, medals gleaming on his chest, eyes burning with fury. The room fell into stunned silence. He strode forward, his voice commanding like thunder. "That's enough." His finger pointed straight at the officer, who instantly went pale. "You dare arrest my men? These Navy SEALs have bled for this flag, for every person in this room, while you abuse the badge you swore to honor." The cop stuttered, words fumbling. Sir, I didn't know." The Admiral's roar cut him off. "You knew exactly what you were doing. You thought power gave you the right to humiliate heroes. Not today, not ever." Gasps filled the air as Parker turned to the judge. "This man's lies, his abuses, they end now. Effective immediately, he is under federal investigation." The officer collapsed into his chair, sweat pouring down his face. The once smug grin was gone, replaced by raw fear. Two marshals stepped forward, placing cuffs on him as the courtroom erupted in whispers. Marcus and Jake stood tall, their dignity restored. The Admiral approached them, pride in his eyes. "You don't bow to corruption," he said firmly. "Not in my Navy, not in my America." Marcus's eyes glistened, his voice thick. "Thank you, sir." Jake turned to the room, his voice cutting like steel. "This is what happens when you underestimate us." The judge slammed his gavel. Case dismissed. Applause thundered across the room as the disgraced officer was dragged away. When corruption tries to break heroes, justice comes back 10 times stronger.